The Charyapada is a collection of mystical poems, songs of realization in the Vajrayana tradition of Buddhism from the tantric tradition in Kalinga. It was written in an Abahatta that was the common ancestor of Assamese Bengali, Maithili and Odia between the 8th and 12th centuries, and it is said to be the oldest collection of verses written in those languages. A palm leaf manuscript of the Charyapada was rediscovered in the early 20th century by Haraprasad Shastri at the Nepal Royal Court Library. The Charyapada was also preserved in the Tibetan Buddhist canon. As songs of realization, the Charyapada were intended to be sung. These songs of realization were spontaneously composed verses that expressed a practitioner's experience of the enlightened state. Miranda Shaw describes how songs of realization were an element of the ritual gathering of practitioners in Agana Chakra. The feast culminates in the performance of tantric dances and music that must never be disclosed to outsiders. The revelers may also improvise songs of realization to express the heightened clarity and blissful raptures in spontaneous verse. Discovery. The credit of discovering Charyapada goes to Haraprasad Shastri, who during his third visit to Nepal discovered about 47 verses in 1907, the body of which came to be called Charyapada, which are essentially Buddhist mystical songs. These were discovered from the Royal Library of the Nepalese kings. Haraprasad Shastri first went to Nepal in 1897 for collecting Buddhist folklore. He discovered some folklore written in Sanskrit during his second trip in 1898. He undertook his third trip in 1907 in the hope of some more new folklore. He published his collections in a volume which was published in 1916. Although Haraprasad Shastri discovered as many as 47 poems, hints are that the number would be 51 in total. These were written on narrow section of palm leaves. Manuscripts. The original palm leaf manuscript of the Charyapada, or Karyuvanisa, consisting of an anthology of 47 padas along with a Sanskrit commentary, was discovered by Haraprasad Shastri at the Nepal Royal Court Library in 1907. This manuscript was edited by Shastri and published by the Bangaiya Sahitya Parishad as a part of his Ajabachara Purana Bangala Base Bodhagan Odoha in 1916 under the name of Charya Vinishchara. This manuscript is presently located at the National Archives of Nepal. Later Prabodh Chandra Bagchi published a manuscript of a Tibetan translation containing 50 verses. The Tibetan translation of the Charyapada provided additional information. It names the Sanskrit commentary as the Charyutika Shavti written by Munidatta. It also mentions that the original text was translated by Shilacharya and its commentary by Munidatta was translated by Chandrakirti Kirtajandra. Poets. The manuscript of the Charyapada discovered by Haraprasad Shastri from Nepal consists 47 padas. The title page, the colophon page, the pages 36, 37, 38, 39 and 66 containing the padas 24, 25 and 48 and the commentaries were missing in this manuscript. The 47 verses of this manuscript were written by 22 Mahasiddhas, or Siddhacharyas, whose names are mentioned at the beginning of each pada. In the Tibetan Buddhist canon version of the text and its commentary 50 padas are found, which include the padas 24, 25 and 48 and the complete form of the pada 23. Pada 25 was written by the Siddhacharya poet Tantrapada, whose work was not found earlier. In his commentary on Pada 10, Munidatta mentioned the name of another Siddhacharya poet, Lady Dombai Pada, but no pada written by him has been discovered so far. The names of the Siddhacharyas in Sanskrit are mentioned prior to each pada. Probably, the Sanskrit names of the Siddhacharya poets were assigned to each pada by the commentator Munidatta. Modern scholars doubt whether these assignments are proper on the basis of the internal evidences and other literary sources. Controversies also exist amongst the scholars as to the original names of the Siddhacharyas. The poets and the works as mentioned in the text are as follows. Nature. The language of Charyapada is rather symbolic in nature. So in many cases the literal meaning of a word does not make any sense. As a result, every poem has a descriptive and narrative surface meaning but also encodes tantric Buddhist teachings. Some experts believe this was to conceal sacred knowledge from the uninitiated, while others hold that it was to avoid religious persecution. An attempt was made to decipher the secret tantric inheritance of Charyapada. Haraprasad Shastri, who discovered Charyapada, considered that it was written during the 10th century. However, according to Sunniti Kumar Chatterjee, Charyapada was composed between 10th and 12th century. Prabodh Chandra Bagchi upholds this view. Sukumasen, while supporting this view, maintained that Charyapada could have been written between 11th and 14th century. However, Muhammad Shahidullah was of the opinion that Charyapada dates back to earlier time. He maintained that it was likely to have been composed between 7th and 11th century. Rahul Sankrityayan thought that Charyapada was probably written between 8th and 11th century. Controversies. There is controversy about meaning of some words. Different linguists have diverse opinion about the real meaning of certain words. It has been said that Charyapada was written in early form of Bengali. Scholars of other languages claimed that it was written in Assamese, Gujarati, Hindi, Maithili, Nepalese and Odia. Some scholars believe its words are more similar to Vishnupriya Manipuri rather than Bengali. It is claimed that Charyapada is the oldest record of Vishnupriya Manipuri literature. Language. Haraprasad Shastri in his introduction to the Charyacharya Vinishchaya referred to the enigmatic language of its verses as twilight language, or Alo and Ari, based on the Sanskrit commentary of Munidatta. But later Vidushakara Shastri, on the basis of evidences from a number of Buddhist texts, referred to this language as intentional language. The Charyapadas were written by poets from different regions, and it is natural that they would display linguistic affinities from these regions. Different scholars claimed the affinities of the language of Charyapada with Assamese, Bengali and Maithili. Affinities with Assamese. Luipa was from Kamarupa and wrote two Charyas. Charyapada, another poet, is said to have been from Rani, a place close to present-day Guwahati. Some of the affinities with Assamese are negatives. The negative particle in Assamese comes ahead of the verb. Najay, Najivami, Dachada, Najani, Nadasa. Charyu 15 has 9 such forms. Present participles. The suffix anti is used as in Assamese of the Vaishnava period. Javanti, sunont, etc. Incomplete verb forms. Suffixes I and iy used in modern and old Assamese respectively. Kari, Kumbi, Maria, Lair, etc. Present indefinite verb forms un, barnat, tarai, pave. Future, the eva suffix, hiba, kariba. Nominative case ending in e, kumha khaa, cornela. Instrumental case ending in era, uj jela kadachija. The vocabulary of the Charyapadas includes non-Tatsama words which are typically Assamese, such as dala, thirakari, tai, uju, kaka, etc. Affinities with Bengali. A number of Siddhacharyas who wrote the verses of Charyapada were from Bengal. Shabapa, Kakuripa and Busukupa were born in different parts of Bengal. Some of the affinities with Bengali can be found from genitive in ira ara, dative in re, locative in ta, postpositional words like majar, antara, sanga, past and future bases in il, ib, present participle in anta, conjunctive in declinable in Iowa, conjunctive conditional in itee, passive in Iowa, substantive root sak and tha. Affinities with Odia. The beginnings of Odia poetry coincide with the development of Charya Sahitya, the literature thus started by Mahayana Buddhist poets. This literature was written in a specific metaphor named Sandubhasha, and the poets like Luipa, Kanhapara from the territory of Odisha. The language of Charya was considered as Prakta. In his book Arunakakar has mentioned that Odisha is the origin of Charyapada, as the Vajrayana school of Buddhism evolved there and started. Female worship in Buddhism, worship of Matradakini and the practice of Kaya Sadhana are the outcome of such new culture. Buddhist scholars like Lakshminkara and Padmasambhava were born in Odisha. The ideas and experience of Kaya Sadhana and Shakya Upasana, which were created by Adisadasan, have poetic expressions are found in the lyrics of Charyapada. These were the first ever found literary documentation of Prakrit and Apabhramsha, which are the primitive form of languages of Eastern Indian origin. The poets of Charyapada prominently are from this region, and the thought and writing style has influenced the poems in early Odia literature, which is evidently prominent in the 16th century Odia poetry written majorly in Panchasaka period. The language of Kanhapa's poetry bears a very strong resemblance to Odia. For example, Ekasapadu Machoshadi Pakudi, Tahin Chadi Nasha Dombi Bapudi Paduma, Shozadi Pakudi Tahin, Chadi, Nasha, Dombi, Bapudi Ahalya Dombi, Totpakhami Sadvaba, Isasijasi Dombi Kahari Nabe. Your hut stands outside the city, O untouchable maid. The bald Brahmin passes sneaking close by. O my maid, I would make you my companion. Kanha is a Kapali, a yogi. He is naked and has no disgust. There is a lotus with 64 petals. Upon that the maid will climb with this poor self and dance. Some of the writing in Jayadevas Gita Govinda have Pada Mugadi Padashrita Gita, that is influenced by Charyugiti melodies. For the mention of the name of the raga for each pada at the beginning of it in the manuscript, it seems that these padis were actually sung. All 50 padis were set to the tunes of different ragas. The most common raga for Charyapada songs was Patamanjari. While some of these ragas are extinct, the names of some of these ragas may be actually the variants of the names of the popular ragas as we know them today. Glimpses of social life. Many poems provide a realistic picture of early medieval society in eastern India by describing different occupations of people such as hunters, boatmen and potters. The geographical locations, namely Banga and Kamarupa, are referred to in the poems. Names of the two rivers that occur are the Ganga and Yamuna. River Padma has been referred to as a canal. No reference to agriculture is available. References to female prostitution occur as well. The boat was the main mode of transport. Some description of wedding ceremony is also available. Translations. Produced below is English translation of the first verse of Charyapada. It was composed by Bodhisattva poet Luipa. This piece has been rendered into English by Hasnajasamuddin Murad.